Hammer time, they can't touch me, hammer time, hammer time, they can't touch me, hammer time.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, so some of you have asked me how the angles and how the shapes and stuff apply to your lives. So I'm just on a corner here out in town, and one way that we see angles every day is on railroad crossings. There's one sign over here, then there's another one if we look over here. They both have different sets of angles. They both have supplementary angles, and they both have vertical angles. So the people who create these have to know how to work with angles. Went to the eye doctor the other day, and they also told me that they use different angles and different math and equations every day. If we look up here at the one-way sign, this sign right here has a triangle attached to a rectangle. Once again, different street signs all have different angles. If we look here at my car, my fog lights make a rhombus. And there's different shapes all through the lights. So if you want to work with cars, you also have to know how to work with light or with angles and shapes. Looking inside my car as well, all your parents should have a hazard lights, either a button or some way to turn on their four-way flashers. In my car, it is a double triangle like this. They have to know the angles to make these two similar. They have to know this angle and make them the same. Then just make the side length smaller, because the angle measures still have to all equal 180 degrees. If we look here, this is the Chase Bank sign. And this sign right here, not only do we see that we have a quadrilateral, this shape right here has four sides, but the center of it then makes a square. So all of these different shapes then form a square in the middle. So we also have a quadrilateral there. Alright, if we look at this building across the street right here, we can look at the roof. And we see you've got a slanted side there. And if we come across to the other side of the roof, we have a slanted side. And then we have two parallel sides. Those two parallel sides with two slanted sides tell me that this roof makes a trapezoid. This has a trapezoid roof, which means the builders had to know. And if we look down here, we can tell that they just added on to this building. So this building, the people who added on down there as well as to the roof had to know the different angles that were down here. They also had to know the different lengths and angles and keep the angles the same. So any architects or roofers, they all have to know about angles in order to build and create. This is a yield sign also down one of the streets. This yield sign right here, this is a triangle. Two different triangles. They had to know the angles and know that the measures are 180 degrees, as well as how to make them to make it connect and be the proper size. If we look at this rooftop up here, that white part, they had to know the angle of that part specifically in order to add it on to the other shapes used. We also see in there that there are different quadrilaterals that they used for those four lines. Right here, all the way around, this is a little garden area, and all the way around here we see that there are different rectangles and squares, and we had to know the angle measures as well as the different lengths and how they all piece and fit together in order to make it the length that we wanted. This chair, we can see that they used different diamonds around here, rhombuses, to create this chair. They used the same thing in the table. So they had to know the angle measures and how it all pieces together. Okay, now the architects of this building had to know how to cut the different bricks and place them around that circle in order to make the design that they wanted. If we zoom out here, we can see all those other bricks. They are rectangles. We've got the windows, In order to be an architect especially, you will want to know how to use protractors and angles. Just walking down the sidewalk here, we can see that all of these bricks have the angle measures in the corners. These ones are obviously 90-degree angles because it is a rectangle. We've also got the squares all the way down the sidewalks. People who cut diamonds and create jewelry, they have to know the best way to make it sparkle. They have to cut to specific angles to catch the light correctly. Artists who create these fun designs, they have to know, they don't just create to create. They need to know what angles will look best, what designs will look best in order to create these figurines. If we look at these children's shorts on a mannequin, we can see that there's angles, vertical angles, supplementary angles, and the different designs on the bottom of these shorts. In order to create all of them to be the same, they have to know how many stitches, first of all, but also what angle did they have. This is a different chair, but we can see that this also has the angles and the quadrilaterals. The people who created this have to know how to use angles and protractors to create them all that are the same, because if we look at the chair right next to it, you can see that it's exactly the same. Look at this light post here. I know it's getting a little windy, guys, but if you look at this light post here, that is on an angle. Then there's an angle at this corner over here. So they had to know the different angle measures to figure out what would be the sturdiest to keep this in the air. The yield sign, yield to pedestrians. This is another sign that has different angles. It's a quadrilateral. If we look here, we can see that we have trapezoids and triangles all inside of a rectangle. The person who created this needed to know which angles all of these are, as well as the lengths, so that they can make the exact same one here and up here and all along this whole wall. Also, figuring out and knowing these angle measures would make it so that if we wanted to, we could recreate this wall. So, to conclude, angles, angle measures, quadrilaterals, different shapes, they are everywhere. They are what makes up everything. So, whether you want to be an architect or an engineer, or if you want to create glasses, cameras, computers, if you want to lay cement, or if you want to do pretty much any job that you will do will somehow involve shapes or angles. And so you will need to know how to use a protractor, and you will need to know how to measure angles. It's very, very important.